Hey, it's Heidi Dawson, and this is Wednesday Wisdom, where I interview wildly successful people from across the world, where we get an inside view into what their daily life looks like. Success leaves clues, and on Wednesdays, we're finding them. Join me now for the latest wildly successful interview. Hi, guys. Welcome to episode number 104 of the Wildly Successful Lifestyle Podcast. So, my guest today has actually been a mentor of mine. He has become a very good friend, and he's been successful at just about everything. But the last 25 years, he's been in real estate, and he has been knocking it out of the park. He was listed in 2018, 2019 in Real Trends in the Wall Street Journal. So, he was number 240 out of the nation in real estate agent transactions, which is huge. He's a lifetime member of the Multi-Million-Dollar Club, and he's taken a kind of a different approach. So he really has gotten into the finance side, and he has been excellent at marketing, and that's why he's been so successful. So we talk about that today, and we talk a little bit about some of our fun, kind of crazy, you're not going to believe experiences in real estate. So tune in, and I can't wait to introduce you to Eddie Scruggs. Hey, Eddie.
Hey, Hattie.
I'm good. Thank you so much for coming on my podcast. I've been trying to get you for like 10 months, I think.
I've been following you since the day that you started this, so I'm excited and
Yay.
So proud of everything you've done.
Well, thank you. I'm enjoying it. I really do. I know you have a lot to add, and that's why I'm so excited about interviewing you, because you're so accomplished in what you do, which is real estate, but there's a lot of reasons behind real estate, and I think a lot of it is marketing. Can you talk a little bit about yourself, like what you've done and, that kind of what you're doing now, all that good stuff?
I got in the real estate business in probably about 1995. And before that, I'd spent about 20 years in the music business, from everything from playing in a band, managing a band. Then I owned a very large, and it's a funny story how we wind up with it, but wound up having a large sound and light business that we did groups all over the country. Probably our top act that we did for 3 or 4 years was Leonard Skinner. I sold that company, got out of it before they had their plane crash, bought a nightclub or ballroom on Union Avenue called Taliesin Ballroom. A lot of people, if they Google it or remember it, famous for doing the Sex Pistols there. But we also did the Police. And
I know, didn't you say you had Sting roll out the back of a van?
They did come out of the back of the van when Roxanne was the #1 song in the country.
That's insane.
Hardly anybody showed up, so I lost a lot of money on that show. He was incredible.
Unbelievable.
So I was just a little bit early on him.
Wow, that's incredible.
2 months later, I could have sold out like 10 times, but.
Oh yeah, for sure. Okay, so then let's talk a little bit about, you've been in real estate now for, it's going on what?
25 years, I guess.
25 years, yeah. Okay. And you have, your real estate career has been quite incredible. You've been you're a lifetime member of the Multi-Million-Dollar Club. And you were initiated into that in your first 6 months. So what do you attribute that to? Like, how your success in real estate?
Well, I had a good background in sales. So from the entertainment business, I had really honed my selling skills and marketing skills. So when I came over to real estate, it was really, I found out the first week everybody wanted to buy a house, but I was in an area and all my clients, nobody could afford a house. I mean, because of their credit issues or down payments. And so I had to learn financing, and I mastered the art of financing. That was actually probably my strong point. Most real estate agents would just send their client out to a mortgage lender and let them talk to the mortgage lender, and then wait back. I was able to kind of figure out and structure deals and put things together and come up with creative financing because interest rates were high. There wasn't all the loan programs available. Um, to get somebody's credit pulled, you would you would fax in to a mortgage company somebody's credit score, and about 3 to 5 days later, you would come back to figure out if they had a
Wow.
credit score. So, now you can find somebody's credit score in like 30 seconds.
2.3 seconds. Yeah. So it's a lot faster.
So it's really changing. Computers were just coming in. I've been using computers in the music business, and it seems like musicians were ahead of the real estate business, but the real estate agents were really kind of late adopters on
Yeah.
technology.
Yeah.
So that was one of the kind of the early things, and I was able to master financing, and then really I followed up. The basic skill is followed up because I kept a database, and I kept all my
Right.
clients in a database, and I could mail out and keep up with them where other agents had no, they were using index cards and writing notes and everything. And uh, so I was, my first computer was actually a Xerox 820 CPM big floppy disk. They were like
Oh
five and a
my
half
gosh.
floppy disks.
Now you're telling your age.
And then,
So you so marketing, like the computer and technology, has been a huge role in your success. And I want to talk more about that. But first of all, I also know, because we've been friends for a long time, and we actually, you mentored me early on in real estate, so we can talk a little bit about that. But I want to talk, first of all, you do a lot of supplements. And I want to talk about your morning routine, because I know that, I mean, you just had COVID and you really basically got through it with the sniffles. So, and I think it's probably due to some of the supplements you take. Now, I don't know. Can you share like what that morning routine is? Because it's quite a doozy.
well, I mean, it's actually half morning and half night, so I split them in two.
Okay.
So it's an equal part. But I basically, most of my supplements, I do take a very robust multivitamin. It's a liquid. It's called Vibe. And I don't.
Didn't that used to be, that's liquid, right? That is, you
It's
drink it.
liquid,
Yeah.
and
I like the taste of it. I've had
so
that.
it's good. And again, I use it and have used it for years. And I don't sell any of this. I'm not into any type of. I buy it directly off the internet and Amazon direct, so I don't
Yeah. And
do
that's
any.
called Vibe, VIBE.
Yeah, and it's something I've used for a long time. And then I take that, and then I take garlic, a really high grade garlic tablet that doesn't have odor. I take a ginger every morning. I take a fish oil and a krill oil supplement. Um, and then I take, I don't know exactly how to pronounce it, but I think it's called Bergamot. It's Bergamot, whatever that
Mhm.
is.
Mhm. Okay.
And it's made out of an orange peel. And a doctor in California gave it to me, and it's kept my cholesterol down without having to take Crestor or any of the things. So with
Wow.
a
Okay.
modern diet, that's really helped me keep my cholesterol down. Again, I
Okay.
don't know if it.
I'll put that in the show notes for everybody listening, because that's something that's so good. I mean, obviously we're not doctors, but if a doctor in California is telling you to take it, so it's a thought to do research on, and maybe that can help. Now, garlic is another thing, right? Isn't garlic supposed to help keep your blood pressure and
It keeps your blood pressure and your cardiovascular system in good shape and your immune system.
yeah.
And then you do a so does the ginger.
Yep. Okay. All right. So you do that in the morning. I don't know what your night routine is.
And then I take turmeric,
Oh, turmeric.
turmeric, or have a baby aspirin.
Okay.
I take a kind of a anti-inflammatory for joints because I kind of have a bad shoulder that I hurt from my music days called Wobazine. It's got a pineapple enzyme, but it's been around for about 50 years.
Okay.
And, it seems to work for me. And then I take a kind of a supplement called pycnogenol, which is a pine bark, and it's basically helps improve blood flow and alertness, and it's an antitoxin. Very something I've just taken for a long time.
I haven't heard of that. Can you spell that for me?
Um,
I'm putting you on the spot now. It's
I
pine
guess
bark.
it's pine bark extract. It's called pycnogenol. It's pycnol, pycnogenol, or
Okay, you can send it to me, and I'll put it in the show notes. I'm just interested in it because, so many times there's natural things that help us that we don't have to be on. It keeps you off of the the medicine that the doctors prescribe, which because I don't like all that stuff.
and then I also about a year or two ago added a kind of a immune system thing, which is what is it, Echinacea, Echinacea,
Oh, echinacea, yeah, yeah.
echinacea, zinc, and vitamin C.
Okay,
It's a pretty good dose of that. It's called an immune booster.
yeah. I take echinacea every morning.
I
Um,
take It's a combination of those three together,
wow.
and about it's got like 7 or 8 others. But so I did test positive for COVID. My whole family did. I have a 30-year-old son that's into working out every day, eating healthy, and his wife. They caught it with us. They had symptoms and flu-like symptoms. Uh, I had a little bit of drainage and sniffles, but never an ache, never a headache, never. Unfortunately, I never lost my appetite, or, by sense of smell or taste. Uh, so the only thing is, I stayed home for 14 days. So I had always said I wanted the world to stop for 14 days, and I guess I got what I wished for.
You got what
But,
you wish. Be careful what you wish for,
and I know it's a serious disease. I'm not taking anything away from it, but for
Yeah.
me, it was very, very mild and easy. So it's
Well, there's something to be said for taking there's a lot of these things on here that I think help it. I mean, I don't know. I think if you're healthy, you can fight most things better than if you're not healthy. And you've been taking these supplements for a long time, which I think are great. And we do the same thing. I mean, we take quite a few of the same things. Okay, all right, good. So then what is your night routine?
well, it's a combination. I
Oh,
split
it's a
those up.
combination. Okay, all of that's done. I was like, what? I should have asked, what don't you take then? If you were going on.
And again, that's just what I take, and I do half in the morning, half of it at night. That way
Okay.
I don't overload my body at any one time.
Okay, now I understand. All right. I was like, wow, you take all this in the morning, then you take more at night. I was about to probably. Whew. Okay, good. Well, that's all every single one of those things, except for I hadn't heard of the pine bark. So I'm gonna look that up, and I'll put that in the show notes. So all right, now, so you've been a powerhouse in real estate for 20 years. I mean, you've weathered some big storms. There's a lot of up and downs in real estate. That's just the nature of the world, right? I mean, the real estate always goes up, it always goes down, but it always comes back up. You were selling when interest rates were like 11%. And what do you attribute your ability to ride the highs and lows? Because a lot of times people got out when the going gets tough, but you stayed in and done really well.
Well, somebody's always buying and somebody's always selling. Now, during the recession, this last one that we had back in 2007 or 8, your sellers were, they were not happy people, but the buyers loved it.
Mm.
Now sellers are loving it and buyers are hating it. It's, it's just always up and down. Nothing ever in life ever stays the same. That's the only thing you can be guaranteed, is things are going to change.
That's right.
And it is definitely a seller's market at the moment. I've never seen anything like it.
No, it's crazy. And the stories I hear are unbelievable. People offering over, $100,000 over contract price right out of the gate. It's nuts.
And that's just the way it is. I mean, it's what, my average sales price right now is probably 103 or 4% of list price for the last 6 or 8 months.
That's nuts. Well,
So
good though. That's good for you, and it's good for
it's good for
the
your
seller.
seller. Now,
Yeah,
the fortunate thing for our buyers is this is the lowest interest rates that's ever been in history.
yeah.
So it's the interest rate really determines your payment more than um, the price of the house. And that's where the financing comes in is you really, and I tell people, and you probably remember from our saying, you live in the interest rate, not in, it's the interest rate.
Yeah.
And that determines what you can afford or buy. And so if those interest rates were to go up right now, uh, millions of people would be priced out of the market if it just went up 1 or 2 points because
Before they close, right? So, well, that'd be scary.
it could be. But usually you're locked in for 30 days unless you're on new construction.
Okay. Yeah.
So and
All
that's
right.
where the financing became so important.
So the financing you think is a big key, and you just took that in. So for people that are in real estate or doing real estate, get into the finance, get into the meat of the finance, because you can get creative. I remember you were pretty creative. So I love your email though. You have an email that you send out weekly that is so good. I mean, it's not just about real estate. It's got fun tips. It has that people win things. It's a really great email. So, talk a little bit about that, and how does having an email list help your business?
Well, an email just basically puts your name out there and keeps top of mind awareness. I mean, there's so many real estate agents and everything. So the key is how do people remember you? And you have to, it's like the main thing in marketing is your job is not to sell somebody something, it's to be in front of them when they're ready to buy something. So your main job is to be in front of them when they're ready to buy instead of trying to constantly just sell something.
I like that. I like that. Yeah, because so that's why, I mean, even though like I'm not in the market to buy a house, but I get your email and I like it though. A lot of times I'll unsubscribe to emails because I'm not even interested. But because yours are so interesting, I read them, and that's great. Because if we were going to sell our house, of course we would contact you because yeah, you're top of mind. You're in my email box.
And again, it's about giving something of value, whether it's funny things like our new contest for this week is what was the first thing ever sold on eBay? You'll get that next Monday.
Oh, tell me so I can win the prize.
But you know,
All right, I won't make you do that.
you can go. But you find this some crazy things, and then we put it into a drawing to where it's Amazon. But it's kind of like a way of playing trivia. It's just to engage some people.
I love it.
Uh, and again, we give you some information on interest rates and houses.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's always good too, because sometimes people maybe they're like, "Oh goodness, I want to sell my house now because that interest rate's so low. I mean, I think I could get a lot for my house." And so that's really good too, because you give good information.
and then usually one of the most popular things we do, kind of related to that, is we send out a little piece of information about um, what your house is worth every month and what the market's doing. And let's face it, you always want to know what your neighbors sold their houses for and
It's
what the house down the street, across the street sold for.
Oh my gosh, it's so true. You're always trying to hunt that down.
And so we send that out just in a real quick thing, not trying to sell you, but here's what the market, our estimate of your house is worth. And here's what
That's a great idea. You're right. I mean, because we're always a lot of times if they have flyers out, we'll stop and we're like, "Oh, what is that house selling for?" So getting it an email is even better. That's way better.
and you kind of just it gets, you want to know what your house is worth and if your neighborhood's trending up or down or what's happening. So you try to create value.
I love
And
it.
instead of always just buy something, buy something, buy something, it's
Yeah. It's
you know
you are adding value with your email. Because I mean, obviously I get a lot of emails, but I do feel like yours is always interesting. So people I'll put in the show notes how to get on your email because it really is good.
the biggest thing we probably do is send out list of vendors. People call me like, I need a painter, I need a plumber, I need somebody to stretch carpets. And, we keep a massive list of people we've used that do good work. And
Yeah,
so that's a really
that's huge.
important thing is just, you can get a lot of that. You can get those on the Amy's list and this and that, but people are paying for that. These are people that we've actually paid work and we were satisfied with.
Right. I mean, I've used some of those, and I'm telling you, you guys, the guys we get from you have always been excellent. So I can
So we,
attest to that. Yeah.
we sent a person that did your yard. I mean, Alex is incredible.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. In fact, he's still doing it.
And then Eric was probably really happy with his custom garage.
Oh, Eric was very happy with his custom garage. Yes. Yes. I mean,
Yeah,
these are all guys from you. Yeah, definitely.
that's just what you do. It doesn't have anything to do with selling real estate. It's just serving your customers and being available if they need and giving some advice.
I love that. Okay, so I'll put in the show notes how to get on your email list. But talk to me and to the listeners about how you got your email list so big.
Uh,
How many people do you have on there now?
about 35,000.
Right.
But again, it got there because everybody that in one of the things in real estate that I became is the listing broker for Matthews Brothers Homes, and then for 12 years for Regency Homes up until about 6 months ago. So I have been the listing agent of over about 6,000, 6,500 single family homes.
Wow.
And so that's a lot of homes. And when you do that many contracts, whether it's my team, now again, I have a team of people that I hire and I train and work with and everything. And so it's kind of like we're partners, but those people on the team, and I'm out there in the field selling too, but everything passes over. But you see all those transactions and you just learn a lot about them.
Right. You done. I
So,
think you've done a really great job with that.
so all those people go on the list. Every time that I meet somebody or somebody does work or everything, I put everybody on, and you make it really easy to unsubscribe. You really don't want to bother people. And so I've just been collecting names for 20 years. I've done it one at a time. I have never bought a list. So I've
I
never
know
bought.
that it's organically grown, which is, what happens when you do that, and that's what I'm doing with my podcast as well, is, when you do organic, you are getting people that are interested in what you are saying or what you are providing, or they're interested in that topic. And therefore you have, I don't know, it's a solid list. And that's what you want. I like to talk to people that want to listen or want to, grow just like I do. And that's you and we do that a lot. We love to grow, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But,
Clients that are looking for a house and trying to buy, we have them really on a list of homes and everything. So they're not getting necessarily the email list that like you get, because you're not in the
they're
market.
getting a heavy hitter list,
Yeah,
is what
if
you're telling me.
if you came up and said, "Hey, I'm looking for houses," we would switch you over temporarily to a list of homes that might interest you.
That's awesome.
Suggestions. But
Okay,
again,
well,
you're
that's
not
why
looking
you
at a
have
house,
a
so you don't want an email full of.
$150
At
list.
this point, you don't want an email full of just houses to look at.
No, I would probably unsubscribe. And I like you. but I would probably. So, okay.
I've got some really good friends about it that unsubscribe me, and it's just it's just.
You're like, how dare you?
It doesn't really bother you.
No, you can't take anything personally. And that is so true. When I go through, sometimes I've thought about it when I unsubscribe, and I'm like, oh goodness, I hope I don't hurt their feelings. But it's really just, if you don't, you'd have your mailbox full, and then like the ones like you send wouldn't stand out because I'm getting so many. So, all right. You are and have always been a man of very few words, which that's just how you are, right? So, because we go to dinner, whenever we are in a room, or when we used to work together, you seem to be taking everything in rather than thinking like what's the next thing I'm going to say or trying to be the loudest in the room. You've never been that. So how do you think that has played into your success?
You know, it's been a double-edged sword. And the main thing is I'm not talking, so I'm listening, and
Hmm.
I'm intensely listening.
Yes, I know.
And a lot of times I get so intense and listen that so that I don't see anything, I will even shut my eyes sometimes, but I'm totally concentrated. I learned that from the music business when I would hear great music and songs so that I would not be distracted with anything around. I would just shut my eyes a lot and listen.
That
So
is so interesting.
all I was hearing was the music and the words, and I wasn't seeing people's faces and other people's reactions. And so
Huh.
I've done that sometimes in conversations. My wife will, I'll be listening and she'll be saying, and she's like, "You're not paying attention to me." And I will say everything back word for word that she said for the last 10 minutes. And so you know, the thing about it is I've found that being interested in people and finding out and letting them talk and finding out is kind of the key instead of me talking. My biggest thing and probably my success is I'm incredibly curious.
Okay.
And so I'll ask you a lot of questions and then I'll ask you why and talk more about it, and really get involved in understanding you and, not just the surface thing that you say, that you say, you know, I love this piece of art and I will want to know what is it that you like about it and tell me more. And, you talk about the textures, well, explain to me that.
Right.
So I really get involved because truly interested.
Right. Right.
And
You've trained a lot of real estate agents, and you have made a lot of real estate agents a lot of money. Builders too, builders, real estate agents, and I think that I don't think anybody could deny that you have made a lot of people a lot of money, and they are very
a lot
thankful
of
for
them,
that.
some of them, they tend to forget. A lot of people forget who brought you to the dance.
Yeah, well, you know what? That's all
And
right.
I think that's something that is universally that you find. Is a lot of people forget what got them to certain places, and I think that's a big mistake that a lot of people make. Is you know, they forget, what got them, and I do know that it was hard work. And the other thing that I do every day, and I've told people for years, is I read 30 minutes to an hour a day about the real estate business and have for 25 years. So,
That's incredible because that helps you master it.
I mean, if you think of how many hours, if you spend 365 hours a year, and after 20 something years, I mean, uh, you get to a mastery degree. And I think you asked me how I stay up and keeping on top of things is I read every single day. That's one of the first things every morning as I go up on the computer. Used to be books, magazines. Now about 90% of the time now it's online, but I
Right.
still read the books online or read the magazines.
Yeah.
And I'm an
Yeah,
avid
no, I
reader.
know. Have always had them around, so that's good. That is something that I was just listening to a podcast yesterday. It was a bulletproof podcast, and they were talking about how in order to master or not master a topic, but be able to actually ask the right questions and speak intelligently, you have to read 5 books, right? So that if you've probably read, over the years, so you probably are. I mean, you're definitely a master at real estate. So now I can remember a time when, and this is so interesting to me because people and interaction and human interaction is very much a part of sales and anything, not just real estate. And we were working together and I had a client and you said, you need to pass on that sale because he's going to be problematic, that person is going to be problematic, I don't know that you're going to be able to take that to closing. And I went through with it. I was just like, oh, you don't know, I'm going to do it. And you ended up having to take that client to closing. So how do you read people? I mean, because I've noticed you've done that quite a bit. You'll say, hey, those people are, not going to be a good client. You may not want to do that. How do you read people like that? Is it your listening skills? Maybe I talk too much and you listen.
It goes back. That goes back to listening.
Yeah.
You listen to what they say, and you really listen to the words that they say. And then the big thing is you watch people's actions,
Yeah.
and you pay attention to how they treat other people, how they, I would notice how they treated you, how they would talk about other people, the comments they make. And just when they're generally talking about other realtors or other things, it's kind of like an insight to their soul. So you kind of put it together and you use all your past experiences. And that's how you make decisions, is you make a lot of bad decisions, you get some experience, and then you start making good decisions.
I think that's probably what, one of the things I learned, and that was very early on in my real estate, when I was working in real estate, that I learned that, you can't
You
even,
can't please everybody. You
you
can't be
cannot.
to everybody, and you don't need to be. You need to, there's certain customers, and I tell my real estate agents that I'm training, there's a certain customers that are just jerks.
Yes.
And you really don't need to deal with jerks and people that don't respect you or value your skill, uh, unless you have no other clients. The only reason you want to deal with a jerky client is if you don't have any clients. So if you go and get enough good clients, then you can send those down the street to another real estate agent that
Yeah.
they might,
But when you're first starting out, sometimes you're like, oh, I got to have this client. And then you realize, okay, it wasn't worth it, so that's true. Now, another thing I can remember, and this will be just real brief, but I think people listening will get a kick out of this. So some of the experiences that you and I had when we were in real estate still to this day make me laugh. I will never forget the deer hanging from the rafters. We sold new homes, and we had this group had, they were working and they were just eating their lunch, but they had gutted a deer in the house. If
it
you're
was,
eating lunch, I'm so sorry.
they were, they were, the house was being framed and there were plumbers in working. And they noticed the deer. It was out in Oakland area when it
Right.
was before rural. So they noticed a deer and they actually went and shot a deer while they were plumbing this house and brought it and hung it from the rafters
Oh,
and gutted it. And the people that bought the house that was built it for happened to go out to show their parents their house
unbelievable.
with the deer carcass hanging there. So that was,
That was really bad. And then the time that the skunk got bricked into the wall, and we couldn't figure it out. Like, we could not figure out why the house smelled like a skunk, and the skunk had been sheetrocked, or in between the brick and where was it? Because we had to take the brick off.
it was out between the weatherboard and the brick, and it had crawled up and they bricked it up and it couldn't eat, so it eventually died, and
It was
it's terrible.
so sad, but so awful all at the same time. So, okay. All right. So, let's switch over. Let's switch gears and let's talk a little bit about internet marketing, because you're in real estate, but you really are in the internet marketing business because you do that extremely well. And even before it was a big thing, you were doing internet marketing really well. And in today's world, it's kind of hard to stand out on the internet. So what are some things that you do to stand out? And I mean, what can people do to stand out in a business or in a market like we have today, where everybody's, you have to kind of do something special to stand out.
You have to pay attention to where trends are going, and it's really funny is I was kind of thinking about it that I published an article and I read it the other day, and it was new ideas, selling ideas for the National Home Builders, publishes a magazine across the country. And in 2008, I published a thing on internet marketing about using MySpace and Facebook. And
Okay.
Facebook didn't come along to 2004. And you got to remember the first 2 or 3 years, it was only for college or high
Right.
school college students. And, and can you believe
Wow.
MySpace is come and gone? So, and then I was reading the article and I was talking about uh, that YouTube, I thought in video was going to be huge,
Wow.
and that podcast and blogging would be something that probably would take off at some point in the future.
That's crazy. I mean, that's 12 years ago. So what do you see in the future right now then? Give us a little hint. I'm
It's,
gonna put you on the spot now.
I mean, technology is, and I've always said technology will never replace real estate agents, but agents that don't use technology will replace. Some of the things that I've seen lately is tours. We've been using these Matterport 3D tours for 6 or 7 years, and now all of a sudden they're just now becoming hot. But they've actually got these 3D tours that you can do on the computer that's set that will broadcast like on your desk, and you're looking at a hologram of a house,
Holy moly.
and it's right in front of you, and it's like you can turn it around and move. It's the most incredible thing. You think your whole it's doesn't exist, and you think you're playing
You
with a
think you're
toy
holding a
tablet.
model.
You're just like you're holding a model, and that's
Wow.
reality right now, and it's very affordable. Um, there
Wow.
is so much on marketing, and something that we're working on now is that you can enter a few fields, and we can populate and fill out complex forms automatically. Uh,
Okay.
Artificial intelligence. Berkshire's actually got some artificial intelligence coming out in their um, CRMs and things, the marketing that's pretty amazing. But I don't think that you'll be typing and using keyboards in the next 2 or 3 years. Everything will be voice. I
Wow.
mean, if I'm not mistaken, 38 or 40% of all searches now are done by voice, especially on your phone using Siri or everything.
I know, but see, to me, like that's hard because you have, I mean, I don't know, you don't have privacy.
Again, it'll get better at it. But if you're in your car, if you're at your house in the computer, you can just talk into it.
Yeah, I know,
And,
but then everybody, what scares me is that, everybody in the world knows. I guess there's nothing there's no privacy anymore.
oh, there is no privacy. It's one of the one of the ways we market houses. Of course, we don't even have to do this now because the market's so strong. But it would be that if we were to market a house, we would say we've got a house in Shermantown that's $500,000 in this area, and it will we've entered that data in. It comes back and says, okay, here is the type of people that live in that neighborhood, the type of income, what they read, what they want, and we know their Facebook accounts, their email accounts, and we can directly market and send them. And we also know that from Google and Zillow and Realtor.com that they've been online in the last 3 or 4 months looking at houses in this area.
Right. Wow.
So people looking at houses that have a profile to buy that match the other people in the neighborhood, we can place, get to their computer, get their data. And I say, well, tell me how much, and this was like about 18 months ago. And I said, here is, he goes, give me your address. He pulls my address, and they're sitting there telling me, this is the number of people that look at this house. This is the TV shows that you watch on your TV, the movies. These are the drugstores you buy. Here's all the prescriptions that you have taken. These are the doctors. These are your bills.
Eddie.
This is your children.
Okay, that's
Uh,
terrifying.
and then they can take from the medicine that you've taken what kind of diseases you have.
That is it. That is actually quite scary.
And
Does
it's
it
like
not scare
amazing.
you?
Yeah, and they're going, and we can also tell you stuff you probably don't want to know, but I mean, if they knew everything about me off the address of my house.
Okay.
I mean,
Well,
everything.
so everybody listening, that's now you're probably terrified. I'm so sorry. Hey,
No,
but that's good news. I mean, that's actually good information to have because you don't have I've been feeling like this for a little while that I don't feel like there's a lot of privacy left. Like,
there's not.
yeah.
And this is not just, I mean, and that's one of the Google sells data, Apple sells devices and protects data. Big difference in those two companies.
Well, see,
Just that has something to do
DuckDuckGo.
with marketing.
I've switched to DuckDuckGo,
Hmm.
which doesn't keep your it doesn't track, right?
Probably not, but it depends on. Um, it's probably going over lines. Their information is probably stored on some server. Everybody's data mining everything,
Ugh, okay.
and they can track
Well,
you from your cell phone.
yeah, I know it's I've yes, now I'm thinking about all the ways that there's really no way of getting around it. So, okay, so now that we've perfectly terrified everyone, but informed them, we want to be informed, right? You introduced me to Tony Robbins 20 years ago. Okay, so and I swear, there I can't say enough what that meant to me at the time. And I remember when we first did our Tony Robbins seminar, and I didn't have the money, and you and Donna, your wife, and I went to UPW and I didn't have the money, and you were like, all right, look, I'm gonna front you the money for his whole course, and I'll just take it out of your paycheck or whatever. And that changed my life, the whole thing. It changed my entire trajectory of my life. And so I thank you for that. I don't know if I've ever said that, but you're constantly learning, and we have that in common. And I think that's probably why we were brought together. But what what has really made an impact on you? I mean, what life experience? What is there a success book? Is there a seminar or something that you can experience of some sort that impacted your life the most?
It was kind of a cultivation of. I eventually got into learning how to sell by listening to a sales trainer called Tom Hopkins.
Tom Hopkins, yep.
And I went to, he had a 3-day boot camp where you went and you learned sales presentation and sales scripts, which the thing about it is, everybody goes, I don't want to learn scripts in sales, but actually what you're doing, they're not really scripts, they're your playbook.
Right.
And what you do is you memorize different answers to questions that you're going to get and have and receive. And then you can repeat them back in your own words and can kind of go off of them. Basically, the Kansas City Chiefs playing in the Super Bowl, they have a playbook.
Right.
The Rolling Stones, I've seen them when I was 20, when I was 30, when I was 40. And they played 19th Nervous Breakdown all 3 times in exactly the same. That's their script and playbook. They
Right.
don't go out and rewrite the song so I was able to learn that you have in sales, it's not
You have to
a
have a script.
it's not a canned presentation. You have a planned presentation,
I
and
love
you
that.
you master those particular things. So that was a huge thing for me to get involved. And I would listen in my car to tapes. A friend of mine, Jerry Bowden, gave me a Tom Hopkins set of sales tapes, and I sit there and listen to them on they were on cassette tapes, and generally in my car or a little boom box.
Wow.
I said, this is incredible. Well, from there, I wanted to buy some more, and I got onto a mailing list called Nightingale, Cottondale, or Nightingale something that sold self-help tapes.
Okay.
And I bought a lot of stuff from Brian Tracy.
Brian Tracy. We went to a Brian Tracy seminar. I think I went to one with you and Donna.
And he was just fascinating to me.
Awesome. Love, 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 love him.
And then after I'd listened to all his, I saw some stuff on there from Tony Robbins.
Mm-hmm.
And so I bought the Tony Robbins tape, and that's how I got into Tony Robbins. And I guess the one piece that probably impacted more of my career on sales was he had a course. He used to have a company before it was a Tony Robbins company. I found it on eBay or the internet somewhere where there was like 2 or 3 used copies of a thing called from the Anthony Robbins Company in 1990 called something about influence. It was the Power to Influence the Sales Mastery course. He has some of that in his course, but a lot of it was about the NLP method of selling.
Right. He used to talk a lot more about that, but now he just uses it.
And so I listened to that just over and over, and that really is where I developed my listening skills and that particular. And you can't buy it anymore. I've still got a copy of it on CDs, and it was like he's got a new course like sales influence, and there's 2 or 3 out of like 20 CDs. There's 2 or 3 bits of information in his new thing, but all this NLP and about how people think and everything, I've never heard it again.
I love it. I loved that. Yes, he talks about that a little bit. In fact, in his latest 5-day challenge, he talked about NLP for the first time. I don't hear him talk about it a lot, but
so that was a huge thing, and I got into Tony and Tony Robbins, and so his book, Awaken the Giant Within, probably is the number one most influenced. The second book probably is The Compound Effect from Darren Hardy, which is
okay. I'm gonna write that down. I'll put both of those in the show notes. Awaken the Giant Within, fabulous book, and the other one is
The Compound Effect from Darren Hardy, who was the editor of Success Magazine. I think he does a daily podcast and stuff, but that compound effect really shows you what every decision you make, and small and large, how everything affects, and you making one decision, it changes your whole life.
Okay. I like that idea because I can see where that would be beneficial. Each decision that we make leads to it's walking you down.
Well, it's like, just think if you had not gone to Date with Destiny,
right?
Where would you be and how would your life be? And you went to Date with Destiny.
Yeah.
So you had been on 2 entirely different courses on that one decision.
Just on that one decision, and the things that happen to make that decision a reality. It's crazy. Yeah. So you're right. There's certain decisions you make that change the trajectory of your life, and you better make sure they're good. The best.
Well, or change them quick,
Yeah, or pivot. Or pivot. Yeah. Okay, that's awesome. All right. Well, I will put both of those books in the show notes. And then how do people get on your email list? Even if they're not looking for a house, they need to be on your email list because it's really, really good.
Just my email is Eddie, EDDIE, .scruggs, SCRUGGS at BHHSTRE.com. And that's for Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, and then that's for Tallison Realty, but it's BHHSTRE.com.
Okay. I'll put that in the show notes too.
Please put me on your email list, and
you'll gladly do it.
We'll gladly do it.
All right. Well, this has been so much fun. I could, of course I could talk to you for 4 hours just because we have lots of good stories, but thank you so much for joining me today. It's been fun.
It's been great.
Don't forget to subscribe and share with your friends because we're just going to keep going bigger and better places together, and I love that about us. Talk to you in a few days.